Look around your room right now. What do you see? I bet I can guess exactly what is hiding in the corners. There is a guitar gathering dust that you haven't touched in 6 months. There is a stack of watercolor paper from that week you decided to be an artist. There is a half-finished coding course on your browser, and maybe a set of baking tools you bought at 2 a.m. Society has a name for this. They call it a graveyard of hobbies. And when you look at this graveyard, you don't just see clutter. You feel a very specific, heavy type of shame. You feel like a flake. You feel like someone who lacks grit. You watch your friends pick a lane, become managers, become experts, and climb the ladder, while you feel like you are just swimming in circles. You have probably labeled yourself with the most painful phrase in the professional world: Jack of all trades, master of none. You say it to yourself when you quit yet another project. You say it when you can't answer the simple question: so, what is your passion? But here is the cold, hard truth that nobody told you. You are quoting the insult, but you forgot the rest of the sentence. The full quote is, "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." You are not broken. You are not lazy. And you are definitely not failing. That feeling of being scattered, that urge to jump from biology to graphic design to mechanics, that is not a defect in your programming. That is a survival strategy. Psychology suggests you are unconsciously building a rare cognitive architecture known as the M-shaped mind. While the world is telling you to narrow down and focus, your brain is instinctively preparing you for a future where hyperspecialization is actually a dangerous trap. You are not building a graveyard. You are building an arsenal. And today, we are going to prove why your inability to stick to one thing is actually your greatest unfair advantage. To understand why you feel this anxiety, we have to look at the lie you were sold for the last century. The world was designed as an I-shaped game. It rewarded people who dug one single hole, a mile deep. We call this a kind learning environment. Think of it like the game of golf or chess. The rules never change. The feedback is immediate. If you practice your swing for 10,000 hours, you win. But you do not live in a kind environment. Your brain instinctively knows that the modern world is a wicked environment. In a wicked environment, the rules change every single day. The specialist is fragile here. If the industry changes, or if an algorithm updates, the specialist becomes obsolete overnight. Because of this, your brain naturally drifts. 1 year, you are obsessed with electrical wiring. The next, you are deep into sourdough baking. Then suddenly, you are researching ancient history. To an outsider, this looks like a chaotic personality. They might say you are unfocused. They might say you are running away from commitment. But what you are actually doing is gathering data points from desperate domains. This is where the magic happens. Psychology calls this far transfer. The specialist uses near transfer. They solve problems they have seen before using the same old tools. But you use far transfer. You take a concept from one completely unrelated field and apply it to another. Think about a web developer who used to be a farmer. On paper, those things have nothing to do with coding, but that agricultural experience allows them to understand organic systems and growth cycles in a way that a specialist coder, who only stares at screens, could never grasp. They aren't just writing code. They are cultivating an ecosystem. That is far transfer. That is true innovation. There is another layer to this. It comes from evolutionary biology. It is called redundancy. In nature, redundancy is a strength, not a waste. Elephants rarely get cancer because they have massive genetic redundancy, multiple copies of the same defense gene. If one fails, another takes over. Your chaotic interests are your redundancy. If you are just a specialist software engineer and AI takes your job, you are terrified. You have no backup. But if you are a software engineer who also knows how to fix HVAC motors, write persuasive essays, and understand basic psychology, you are unbreakable. You haven't been wasting your time dabbling. You have been engaging in strategic adaptability. You have been building a safety net of skills that ensures no matter what happens to the economy, or technology, or the job market, you have a pivot ready. The guilt you feel? That is just the friction of fitting a multidimensional mind into a one-dimensional world. Now, understanding that your curiosity is a superpower is a great relief. But it doesn't solve the immediate crushing problem: the burnout. The feeling of being behind. You see people your age buying houses while you are still deciding what you want to be when you grow up. This happens because you are misunderstanding the geometry of your own potential. You aren't T-shaped. You know the T-shape, right? General knowledge with one single specialty. That is the corporate ideal. But you? You are M-shaped. An M-shaped person has multiple pillars of depth, connected by a bridge of curiosity. But here is the trap that destroys people like us. You cannot build all the pillars of the M at the same time. If you try to learn data science, write a novel, and start a business all in the same month, you will collapse. The bridge will break. The people who successfully navigate this life, the true polymaths, practice what we call serial mastery. You have to view your life in seasons. You might spend your 20s obsessing over music and art. Then, in your 30s, you pivot to programming to pay the bills. You didn't quit art. You just finished that season of construction. I saw a story of a 53-year-old who finally found peace with this. He realized he couldn't choose art over programming, so he let programming be the pillar that paid the bills. Meanwhile, music, philosophy, and game design flourished as the other pillars on nights and weekends. He didn't try to merge them all instantly. He let them exist sequentially, and eventually, they all merged into his own personal video game projects. Suddenly, he wasn't just a coder. He wasn't just a musician. He was a solo game developer who could do things a team of 10 specialists couldn't do. That is the M shape in action. So stop apologizing for your graveyard of hobbies. Those weren't failures. They were semesters in the university of your own making. You were never meant to be just one thing. You were built to be the bridge between worlds that others can't even see. So, here's what you need to do today. Go look at that graveyard one more time. But this time, I want you to change the label. It is not a graveyard of failures. It is a library of potential. Pick just one pillar for this current season of your life. Maybe this is your coding season. Or maybe this is your fitness season. Let the others rest. They are not going anywhere. You are not abandoning them. You are just putting them on the shelf. Focus on that one pillar for the next 90 days. When that season ends, you are free to pivot. You are free to pick up the paintbrush or the guitar again. This relieves the pressure. You don't have to be everything at once. You just have to be fully present in the season you are in. The world needs specialists to keep the lights on. But the world needs you, the M-shaped mind, to invent the new light bulb. Your chaos is your creativity. Your scattered interests are your strength. Embrace the mess. Because remember, you are not broken. You are a masterpiece in the making. This is Mindwise Method. See you in the next season.